a small cap company is pre-selected by France's military for an up to 750,000 euro grant to build a pilot plant for hydrogen that shatters the status quo combustible and explosive processes we all kind of know about. And the French military is going to be the first player to test the technology in a real world environment. You should probably pay very close attention, and that's exactly what HPQ Silicon and its France-based affiliate Novasium SAS have announced. That's thanks to their on-demand hydrogen production system. That's a real big overview of why this is so great, and we're going to get to details about that. But that on-demand hydrogen production system has completely reimagined hydrogen production. And why? Unlike traditional electrolysis-based hydrogen production systems, this one operates without the need for electricity, dangerous storage, complex transportation infrastructure, making it a truly autonomous solution. And it's needed now more than ever because Deloitte Touche has already said that if we're going to achieve a net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, we're going to need the development of a clean hydrogen market equivalent of 170 million tons and by 2030. And we're nowhere close to that. So here to talk about today's big news, CEO Bernard Turiel. Bernard, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
Hey, before we dive into the science, all right, because a lot of people are going to be new to this, watching this with great interest. We're going to talk about that. Hydrogen has become a major buzzword in the capital markets. You and I know that. You got Georgecom Hydrogen and ABC Hydrogen. Everyone says they got the real thing. So third-party validation is so important because otherwise there's no way for investors to differentiate between HPQ and Georgecom Hydrogen, right? You've been pre-selected by the French military for this grant up to 750,000 euros, and the French military is going to be using it in the field, testing it in the field in real world environments. How big is this from a third-party validation point of view, both with the world in terms of the hydrogen world and with your shareholders?
Well, it's massive. There's no other way to say it. And it's going to maybe take a few times for people to get their heads around the concept. But fundamentally, we're resolving an issue that the French and all the militaries have, which is related to logistic. Battles are won by logistic and energy-related logistic. Okay, so that's why we were pre-selected to a. This is a highly prestigious award to have. If you're in France, if you get that, okay, then you're part of the top. So then to be pre-selected basically means that we have a solution that meets the criteria for both military and civilian application. You know, the criteria are high to reach this level. So it's just the beginning.
Yeah, I'm assuming you went through a really rigorous review, right? This isn't a deal with a company, a startup, or somebody that this is the French procurement agency, the military. Just give us a sense, again, big picture, how rigorous, because you started talking about this a year ago, how rigorous the review was, the testing, the questions.
Well, there you go.
The whole thing.
In your question, you have the answer. Okay. It took us a year. It actually took us longer a year because it started even before we announced press release. Okay. It took us all that time to demonstrate that our technology works. Okay. And there's a small videos that we show on it, and those type of things that meets all the criteria of what the militaries, not just the French militaries, all the militaries are looking for. So that's what makes it very unique.
In layman's terms, again, we're going to get to the science in a bit, and you're going to bring up a graphic. We're going to have a great conversation. But for people right now listening while they're driving or they're watching this thing, okay, why your hydrogen production system? What are the big picture check marks that you deliver that Georgecom Hydrogen can't?
Well, nobody has done what we've done. Simple as that. And it's actually, we'll discuss it more, but when we file the patent on it, we get one with no interiority. That's fundamentally what it is. Nobody has successfully done what this is. We'll talk more about why I say this, but the big picture is we are one on. This being said, I know there's going to be tons of people that says, oh, but I've seen videos on YouTube of people doing it with hydrogen powders and aluminum and those things. It's not true. No. What we're clearly saying is we have a consumable energy source that is non-combustible. It's a very bizarre sort of sentence, okay? And that's the key point that makes it interesting. It is safe to transport, shelf stable for a long, long time.
and it's not dangerous. Is not so because we all listen. We all watch war movies, Saving Private Ryan. We watch
Mhm,
futuristic war movies, and one thing you always see is they need energy in the supply. You
mhm,
said it earlier, the supply chain. You need
mhm,
to get fuel to the front line, whether it's
mhm,
you know oil and gas, whether it's hydrogen. But the problem
mhm.
is you always see in these big, massive containers, which means it has to be stored somewhere nearby and people can blow it up because you always, you watch these war movies, it's like
Well,
blow up the fuel
they blow it
depot and
up,
we
and
cripple them.
yeah, they blow it up, and then there's always a loss. You lose 25% of the energy and the fuel, because people use it for all other applications. Our material, it only works in our reactor. The rest of it, you can't do anything with it unless in our reactor. So it
Yeah,
it resolves
that's
so many
unbelievable.
issues. Yeah.
What kind of applications, Bernard? What kind of applications you are they talking about?
The first application we're looking at is in the field. It's going to be in the field. Pressurized hydrogen tanks needed to operate drones on the field, on the combat field, because you just cannot deliver battlefield ready pressurized hydrogen, okay, from traditional processes. You only have two options. You build a massive, basically generators to use that electricity from the fuel cell, from the fossil fuel, to generate the electricity to generate the hydrogen through hydrolysis. So you still have a massive footprint of operations just to be able to reach the same level of what we're doing. Our system, small footprint, small operation, small, but for the military, it's small. And
So
that's the
this is
first.
not
That's the first one, and then eventually we'll scale it up and make it bigger, bigger, bigger. But we got to start somewhere.
so this is not just a better process. This is a paradigm shift. I think we've talked about this before with your other lines of business. This is going from the Palm Pilot or the BlackBerry to the iPhone with the App Store, and right, it's a complete paradigm shift. Would that be an accurate way to kind of describe this?
It's a paradigm shift in regard to how you deliver hydrogen. Okay, making hydrogen is known. Actually, making hydrogen through hydrolysis has been known since the 1800s. It's just finding a commercial usage, okay, military and civilian. The civilian applications are massive. Look at Canada, okay? We want to defend our border, which is in the North Pole. All right? So if you want to install a station there, what do? You got to put a generator that uses basically diesel fuel. So you got to ship in that diesel fuel. That diesel fuel in about 2 months, if you don't use it, becomes not good. You have all the environmental issues. Right? So just to defend the Canadian North border, imagine how many of these systems they'll need. There are other systems that use those type of hydrogen that use, very dangerous products, methanol, to basically make them operate. So the civilian and military applications are used. There's massive constraint with transporting hydrogen. Okay, there's no problem making hydrogen. The issue is transporting it to where it is and having an application.
750,000 euros is a serious commitment. I mean, it's not a big number relative to military budgets. Now that the elections take place in the US, we hear, but the military budget is trillions of dollars. Probably for the French, it's maybe hundreds of billions of dollars. But it's still a serious commitment, right? They're not
Okay,
just throwing that money away.
in this program, it's the biggest commitment they get for these level of project. Okay, because they're
Wow.
certain level. Then when you get to go start building the bigger part, once you'll have proving it, you'll have many people that want to partner up with us with developing this and working with us, from drone people, from the next stage is there. The importance is getting into the door, reaching that check mark, saying, okay, we've made it into the realm of the big boys. It's about the same thing
So
as in
that
the US when you get the US energy to get you to work for a program. At the beginning, they're not massive program, but they can lead to massive at the end.
so this is the door opener. This
Yeah.
is the okay, set the table, and if everything is what we think it is, then everyone's going to come eat.
Yep.
What's the
Yes.
ETA, Bernard? What's the ETA for something like this? When the pilot plant, when you guys plan to construct it, have it operate, ballpark again. You don't like to get pinned down to dates. I don't blame you for that. But can you give us a
Um,
ballpark as to how this starts to? play out?
We've been pre-selected. We submit the application. They give us the approval. We sign the contract and we start building it. But at this stage, we've done all the planning work. So we know who's going to build what part, where's going to be built, all the timelines, everything has been done. So it could be relatively fast, 12 months to have an operational system. And during that time, we will have more and more interest from different type of groups. We could have some civilian people want to join in the party and getting those things moving. And HPQ with its North American license may also start to get interest for the technology.
Is there an opportunity for this to expand to other European nations or across the world? What does that look like? Because I'm assuming people in the military pay very close attention to this. All the defense procurement guys around the world,
Mhm.
they all pay attention to each other.
Well,
We
I'd say
know this for a fact.
I think it's going to be mostly limited to NATO and sort of like North American type of defense infrastructure, but that's already massive enough. That's already a massive
Yeah.
enough market. And then you have all the tons of civilian application that come into it. I think just in Canada, all the First Nation communities up north that rely on diesel fuel to survive.
So this has global, I mean, this has real global
Mhm.
implications. Are
Yeah.
you talking about not just because up until now we talk about military and some civilian,
Mhm.
but it seems like this has the chance to be, am I overstating it, that this is a global paradigm shift in energy? And that
Well,
exactly what you're talking about there, that the
it's
applications are limitless and you're not just fantasizing about them being limitless, but these are real problems that have to be solved, real energy constraint problems that have to be solved.
Yeah, and I know that HPQ has been involved in different hydrogen projects, from Trekkie to other projects to BH2. So we have such a big experience with this, but we know that we're really resolving a key issue. Like in the press release, we mentioned using aluminum to generate hydrogen is a known concept. Okay, but even we quote an article from MIT in 2021. Okay, which says, yeah, it's no, there's two limitations. Well, we resolve those two limitations. That's what makes us so ahead of everybody. Everybody knew of the problem. We're the first one to resolve the issue. Okay. So we're the first. This is where it's going to go. It's going to go and expand it, and we have a very strong patent to do this. Okay, so it's going to be very difficult for people, and we'll expand on the patent. And the beauty of the revenue stream for HPQ Innovation about this is that we may sell one, two, or hundred or thousands of system eventually. We'll have to partner with some people to build those systems, but we'll also be the one controlling the sell of the energy source. You make much more money selling the ink than selling the printer. And that will be a recurring revenue source that will come into play and be very, very clear. And think about this, probably military is going to want to pre-deploy because the material is non-perishable, it doesn't have a pronouncement date. You can basically pre-store the material in different areas. So it means you're probably going to need a ratio of 10 times the material for the equipment that you need to operate. So the numbers are so mind-boggling that they're not really worth to say, but the numbers are there, part of the hydrogen business, because it resolves a series of very clear issues.
From an HP, let's talk about HPQ Silicon corporate for a second. Shareholder talk. Can we say that this officially, the hydrogen side of the business now is officially your third commercialized leg?
Yep. Yeah, it's officially it's always been there. We've always talked about it.
Yes.
I think one of the main reasons why we were very quiet in doing this, reaching this point. Okay, remember we only got in October the audit report from the inspector for the patents, which basically demonstrated how strong the patent was. That's why we stayed very, very quiet in what we were doing. But if you want to put it in an image, okay, for the hydrogen technology, we went from we're going to say we're going to do something, and we've done all the step we did with the fume silica to get the LOI signed with Evonik. Okay, so for fume silica we signed an LOI with Evonik. For the hydrogen one, we have a financing from the French government. Two and if you think about it, the market for the hydrogen is much bigger. So, and we didn't talk about it, we didn't talk about any small step. We just say, okay, this is where we are now. We're now moving in this regard. So it's part of the strategy of HPQ, because when you do sort of like the R&D type of technologies we do, when you build those equipment, there are lapse time. No, if we only had that hydrogen technology, do you imagine how boring the last 18 months would have been?
Or you would have been putting out so many press. I like the
I'll
fact
pull
that you didn't
up.
put out a bunch of press releases, because I keep seeing hydrogen press releases, hydrogen, and I'm almost ignoring them now because everyone's talking about some milestone that has had no third party
Yeah, but
validation. They're gonna,
nobody resolves the key issue with hydrogen. Okay.
yeah.
It's like now the new buzzword is white hydrogen, which is natural hydrogen, but every hydrogen has the same problem. Okay. How do you ship it to where you use it? That's the question mark. That's the holy grail of hydrogen distribution that we've attacked it. Now, are we going to be as competitive on all aspects? No, but on specific market where there is no other alternative, we're incredibly well situated, and that's already a big enough market.
So
And
let's
that's
talk
what
now. Let's get to that part. You've got a graphic. Let's get to the part where we talk so we can explain to people, so you can explain to everybody how, in a graphical form, how your production technology works relative to the
well,
others around the world.
are you seeing it? Yeah, you're seeing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if you think about it, making hydrogen is a known entity. Right now, it's made mostly with fossil fuel, but it's a known concept. The problem is once because the application, and it's a very unknown concept, it's a very technical concept, but the most application of hydrogen require 350 bar of pressure, the hydrogen to be at about 300 bars of pressure for the hydrogen, all right? But they can't ship it above 200 bars because of regulation, danger, safety, and all those issues. So you have to produce the hydrogen, okay? Then you got the energy source for that. Then you're going to compress it, put it in storage, transport it, storage, and distribute it. But at the distribution point, you got to basically recompress it, because all this part isn't done in the same as the end pressure required. Like if you want a car to work at hydrogen, you need very high percentage pressurized hydrogen in your system. Our system is basically simple. We make the combustible production, but it's basically it's a consumable, non-consumable. We store it, we ship it. We can ship it on FedEx anywhere. It's green. There's no, look at all those danger signal, okay? All the zone that this represents.
Yeah, let's
Ours
go
is
through
all
the classic supply chain
okay.
a little slower
Yeah.
than you did, because it's really important to, like, storage there. We've all seen these massive storage tanks, right? You see them usually in gas stations, maybe, or industrial places. You
Mhm.
see, this is what the military would have to do, right? They'd have to have these
But they
massive
can't do
storage. Then they have to
it.
transport it, and
But the
let's.
problem is you can't ship it by air, and most of the combat isn't done, next to the railway. How are you going to ship this on a railway? It's going to be like put a number one target on that thing. Okay, so that's just the military, but just in the civilian application, you have look at all the dangerous things. You basically have a highly explosive gas. Okay, so every time you do this, you have to do this into highly secure zone. I just recommend people to go look on Google, fire a distribution station of hydrogen. It happens. Okay. Because you're talking about pressurized hydrogen, those issues. We don't have any of those issues. So everything has to do with transportation is resolved. We have a
So what
shelf
are you
stable.
in your graphic, Bernard? What are you
Mhm.
like? It looks like you got little boxes there,
Yeah.
and then you're transporting boxes. And then, so what are you actually producing and storing, transporting and storing it? What are you actually?
Basically, as we wrote, a bulk silicone alloy, no, aluminum silicone alloy. Okay. That's what we're trying. Basically, a chunk of metal, bulk material. There's more to it than this, but I'll just keep it very
Powder
simple.
form, in powder
No,
form.
no powder. We don't have powder. Forget powder. Powders is everywhere. What people don't realize, okay, and that's the reason why the Trekkie had those issues and all those systems. If you use powder, it's a highly explosive, becomes a highly explosive material. You can't control the reaction. It
Okay.
can get out of control. It can explode. That's the main issue. That's what the article in MIT said. How do you control it? How do you basically do it? Okay, so it's not powder. Powder known, everybody talks about it, and they put those materials, they don't brag about it. What they don't say is that material would, even if it was powder, it would still meet all those risk criteria. Okay. Ours doesn't mean it. It's basically, we make the aluminum silicone alloy, we store it and we ship it, and then we have our generator. We make it under pressure and we use it. That's it. And then this could be bring everywhere we're going.
So you feed the so up until the moment you feed the generator,
Mhm.
it's completely safe, it's
Yeah. And
non-combustible,
you turn it on,
no
you do
big
it, you turn it off, it's
storage.
finished. Yeah, nothing storage. This is why it's on demand autonomous. No need for external power source, no need for anything.
So what kind of reaction do you get from the end user? In this case, the French military, the
Okay,
French
George.
defense agency.
This-
When they look,
okay, George, I'll explain this very simply. At this moment, the French military were the only one that really know that we were there in this thing, because until you get your patent to patent pending, you don't overly talk about what you're doing. Okay, so the French military know, because there is a history between the guys at Novation and the French military, and basically the French military has sought these guys out to resolve this issue. Okay, so because they are brainiacs about this and they're expert about this, right? So, but until this moment, okay, nobody knew we've basically reached this point. The patent just became public, I think, last week.
so this is your coming out party.
Well, this is the coming out party, because anyway, the patent would have been out. People would have said, what's this? What's it? So basically, it's coming out. But the clear message is that we have a unique, strongly protected technology. Okay, that means an important need and criteria of militaries. Let's not get stuck up on the French military. The French military is financing this, but for them, they love nothing more than one of their technologies being used everywhere in the world. Well, Australia, New Zealand, North America, those type of issues.
They're friends.
Yeah, friends.
So it's not just a better process, not just a safer process, it's not just a paradigm shifter, but from a money point of view, because that matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's significantly less capital intensive. I mean, you've said that in the press release, but you can see that from the graphic that you just had up.
Yeah.
How important of a role does that play in the value proposition of what you're doing? The fact that you don't have to have these big, points along the way
It's
with
massive.
massive infrastructure and all that.
Just look at Plug Energy. I think that's the name it is. It's a New York listed company. The billions of dollars they have to raise just to build their infrastructure. And the only thing they're trying to do is build a better electrolyzer. Okay. What we've basically built is a very modern hydrolyzer that can use recycled aluminum and recycled aluminum based alloy to generate hydrogen. What else do you want? Like, we're basically talk about being ultimately green and ultimately clear circuit. You take the ultimate thing. You can take we're going to be working doing a video. You can take a can of Coke and put it in our system. It'll generate hydrogen. You can all those Nespresso that are made of aluminum. We could probably use them. So the commercial applications for all these things are just starting. And this is something we said. Like, I understand that some people are going to say you should only focus on fume silica. There's one thing I've discovered in these type of projects. Okay, sometimes there is lag between times. Okay, right now we're able to do fume silica, batteries, hydrogen, and we have other things on the pipeline, but we're going to keep the same strategy. We'll pop them out when they reach a certain maturity.
Well, I will ask that from a devil's advocate point of view. Would it be would shareholders have reason to be concerned by saying, man, I love the three legs, the commercialized legs. We know there's a fourth one, but I don't know if Bernard and his team can handle that. Too many distractions. Maybe just focus on one or
That I
two.
think
How would you
it's
respond? Because it's just a devil's advocate question. How
yeah.
would you respond to that? Because maybe it is, some people might say we love it, but it's too much.
Well, at the stage we are at, okay, if you look at the fume silica, all right, the R&D work, the technology work is done by pyrogenesis. So our implication is more marketing, all right, sales and distribution at this moment. Right? And the battery one and this one is mostly, the Novation teams have done preliminary work, and it will start. We are in discussion with with partners that are going to take over this. So eventually, our revenue stream is going to probably come more from licensing, packaging our technologies, than for us to go to the full Monty and go into full production. I think that would be a correct statement. But if this is what you're doing, we are doing well these three things. This is a demonstration of it.
Yeah, even the licensing. Let's talk about the potential licensing of hydrogen. You've got military, you've got
Mhm.
civil
Mhm.
applications, you've got different
To me, at
different
the end,
regions of the
yeah,
world. So
yeah.
you could have multiple licensing for multiple applications that don't cross any
Mhm.
paths all over the world.
Me, as long as I get a cut of the revenue stream that comes out from every freaking material used to generate the energy, you know, we'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Now, it's not going to happen in 24 hours, but it's not going to happen in 20 years. That's making this very clear. But it could move much faster because
Well,
in
we were talking earlier
Mhm,
before the interview because we always chat for a few minutes, and I was trying to because I had my own questions to clarify stuff, and
mhm,
your phone was ringing off the hook. You kept saying,
yeah,
"Hold on, George, hold on, I got to turn this up."
literally.
So is that mom and dad calling, or is that
No, no, that's on my personal line. That's the business line. It's no one that calls. It just comes in, and I could hear the people say, "I want to hear more about your technology," and it drove me nuts. That's what we had to restart the interview, because HPQ does have a certain visibility, okay, and we deliberately linked it to an article of MIT because the article of MIT really resumes very well the entire problematic that we're resolving. So I wouldn't be surprised that we got a lot of interest for that. So the bottom line is, HPQ is advancing forward on every one of its leg. They're all reaching the same phase. They're all in a synchronized type of the phase moving forward, which is sort of like makes it better to move to advance. And we'll keep doing this, and eventually we'll expand the company and we'll put more people into it. And, you'll get other phases than just me to see, which is normal. You know, eventually it'll reach a point where it's going to be too big for me to manage, and I'll need a new generation of people. But it's all following a normal pattern going forward. Uh,
Well, I'm going to save an AI version of you so that I can have conversation with you whenever I want, even if you're not there. So if anybody watching or listening at home says I want more Bernieisms, we will be programming an AI avatar so
yeah,
these
you guys.
conversations of both of us actually. We don't even have to be there. We'll just program it so it's just talking to each other. Let me talk about market size, and obviously the global energy market is trillions, and we're not talking about that. What what do you think your total addressable market is? And let's talk about military, not even forget about civilian application because that could be, endless. Just on the military side, how big of a market do you think you're potentially addressing here if you're talking about France, NATO, and France and all the just NATO, nobody else, for example? What kind of market size should shareholders be thinking about?
I would put it like probably 2 to 3 times bigger than the fume silica market, and that's just a short. But as I said, we just don't sell the system. Okay, we sell the system, then we keep reselling the fuel.
So this, if you do it right, the
Mhm.
revenue stream is going to be years. You're just going to be selling ink to all the printers using
And
that
we own we
analogy
own we,
for,
we own we own the patent to that ink.
well, let's talk
And
about that.
okay, and that patent, okay, is extraordinarily strong. You have to remember that hydrolysis technologies exist since the 1800s. To be able to have a patent without any interiority basically means that nobody else has ever done what we've done. Okay, that's what it fundamentally means. Okay, that's massive.
I want to use the quote from Dr. Crane because for something like this, I want someone a little smarter than you and me. His quote: "It is rare in a field as established as hydrolysis to achieve a true technological breakthrough. The recognition of our process as unprecedented with no prior art demonstrates that it is still possible to push the boundaries of innovations even in mature fields." Talk to me about this being a true technological breakthrough. I mean, those are Dr. Krame's words. He's no stock
But
promoter.
that's the truth. That is the truth. He's one of the inventors of technology, but that is the truth. Okay, these guys have spent their life writing patent. I remember when HPQ got its first patent to QRR, there was some people making, "Oh my God, there's too many interiorities, all those issues. It's never going to get patented." We had all these big stories. Okay, this one, our first shot out of bat, no interiority. That basically means we resolve all the issues. We have a technology that works. It's supported. We've done the work for the last more than 18 months, 24 months to get it here. So this doesn't come out of nowhere. It's not a new rabbit that they take out of nowhere just because, we've been working on this for 18 months. You do not get this type of report from a patent unless you've really been working at this and you basically really are expert on this. As I said, it's pushing the envelope of something that people have known existed. The process of existed. To be able to do it differently is rare, and it's valuable.
And I'm going to say,
it's very valuable.
I got to tell you, as someone who's founded Agoracom, we're moving our technology along. We're moving into Web3 and tokenization, all those things. I know how hard it is to do these things, and what you're doing is at 10 times scale in terms of difficulty, the science, what you're creating, who is actually, it's a lot of people can be mad scientists and never ever see a commercial opportunity at all. And on the fume silica, you got Evonik, here you've got the French military. I just want to say, all kidding aside, you and I joke around a lot and we laugh a lot, but what you've done and your teams around you in each respective leg of the company is, to me, you're slowly starting to enter Elon Musk style development. You're not there, you're not, but 5 years from now, someone may be looking at you and HPQ Silicon saying, look at these different paradigm shifting processes in three and four different legs. So I just want to, all kidding aside, and when you see Dr. Krame say that, a true technological breakthrough, unprecedented, no prior art, I mean, he's not going to say that if it's not true. And that's just unbelievable. I think everyone should be really happy and proud of you. I mean, you still got a road ahead to commercialize, but it's unbelievable what you guys have done, Bernard.
Yep. Yep, I completely agree with you.
So what's next? Last question. So the IP is solid, right? Because intellectual property protection is so important. What's next with respect to the patent? And then what's next with respect to the hydrogen side?
What's next regarding the patent? We don't usually discuss this. We don't discuss the next things we'll do. There'll be other things, but we don't discuss them. Next thing is, we got pre-selected, and then you got to file the application, and we got to finalize the contract with the French military, and we start building the things. But we got all the quotes, the quotation, everything. So the pathway has been designed. There's no more design. Now it's just going through the normal hoops of getting grant financing. But investors have to realize grant financing is 100% non-dilutive financing.
Yes.
All right, Bernard, congratulations, my man. Great news. I mean, all of us are watching the headlines because we're looking for fume silica. We're looking at the silicon anode side, and we knew hydrogen was out there, but it'd been a while since we'd spoken. I think our last interview on hydrogen was in January, I think. So it was almost at the very beginning of the year.
Probably,
I don't think we've done another one since then, right? So great news to wake up to. Wishing you and the team continued success in commercializing this and in moving along. And amazing to know that you guys have been doing all this behind closed doors while you're moving all the other legs along. So that tells us there's a lot going on at HPQ. Shareholders should know. Now, I mean, I've always known it, but now I really know it. There's because you and I haven't talked about hydrogen in months. I mean, you'll say to them, George, hydrogen, we're doing some good stuff there. We're moving along, but you've never really said anything about it. And then bam, this a press release like this.
We have other things that we're working discreetly that's going to come out too. It's not.
Now we all want to know what you're working on. Now we all want to know
You have to develop patience.
Wow, I think you're developing that for everybody, and you've got everyone's patience. And with the exception of one or two guys who just want to, throw shade on, there's no denying this. That's why I said third party validation. If you talked about all your steps along the way, I'd say, okay, great, great, great. But who else believes that your process is superior? And if you don't have that third party validation, you're George Com
Mhm.
Hydrogen, right? And you're not. So congratulations to everyone home.
Thank
Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to seeing all your comments, questions, even the jokes you guys make. And until then, have a great day. Bernard, have a great day yourself, my man. See you next
Thanks.
time.
Bye. Bye.
Hey Small Cap fam, I hope you loved this interview because more than a dozen people were involved in its production for the sole purpose of making you happy. If so, can you take a moment to support both our awesome guest company and Agora.com? Your engagement means the world to us. First, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up by tapping that like button. It's a small gesture that helps this interview reach even more potential investors to discover today's guest. Second, we would love to hear your feedback on this interview, so please leave a comment below. Be sure to keep it clean, but feel free to poke fun at George. If you loved what you heard on today's video and want to dig into our guest company right away, take a look at the links in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss another great Agora.com small cap video. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to come back soon.